This conference will now be recorded.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
We're about to begin our meeting. Do we have any volunteers on the prayer?
I'll take it.
Okay.
Let us pray. Let us pray, Bert. Thank you, Lord, for this day. Thank you for the opportunity to come and represent our county at this table, Lord. We just ask that you'd give us insight, give us wisdom, and give us the ability to make decisions that'll be better for our community. We just ask you continue to give us a servant's heart that we would want to serve others. And Lord, we just ask you be with those that in the Winder community that's dealing with the situation there, the families that are affected, the kids that have been affected by such a tragic event. We just lift them up to you and ask that you touch them as only you can. We just ask that you go with us the remainder of this day. Forgive us where we fail you. For us in Christ's name we pray all things. Amen.
Amen. Let's all stand and join me in the pledge of allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You may be seated. And to add to that note, Eugene, on your prayer, most of us had jobs when I was coaching. Up there at Wine at that same place.
Is that right?
With Phil Jones. Yeah, right. That's where Phil Jones went. Why the Barrel? Yeah. I thought about that this morning when it said, yeah, I wouldn't go. Yeah, it is. Okay, we have a proposed agenda. So,
I do have one item to add, Mr. Chairman. Got a proposal for some upgrades to the Sheriff Department communication system. Sheriff want me to present to y'all.
okay, all right. Dave?
No, sir.
Tim?
No, sir.
I just want, well, I got handed some stuff last night. Then yesterday afternoon too, about the Flint Humane Society. So we'll talk about that for a minute. Yeah. Eugene?
No, I don't have anything.
Tony?
No, sir, Mr. Chairman.
All right.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve this agenda with additions.
That's it. There has been motion and second. All in favor by the show of hands. And that motion carries. Okay, our old minutes were emailed to everybody on mail. What's the pleasure of the board?
I make a motion that we accept the old.
Second.
There's been motion and second. Do we have any discussion or correction on the old minute? If not, all in favor by the show of hands, and that motion carries. Okay, Mr. Steve is on you.
All right, Don, you want to come on up? And we'll try to.
Did I not send you an attachment to it?
I didn't have an attachment, I don't believe. Yeah, there wasn't anything attached to it.
Okay, all right. The billing agency that we use, MS Consultants, they've asked if they could write off some old debt that is no longer accessible. So any debt that's over 7 years old, you can't collect. No matter what, you can't collect it. A majority of this debt is based on self-pay, and right now it's showing $2,024,163.51 of self-pay money that has met or exceeded that time frame that's non-collectible, and they're just asking to be able to take it off the books is basically what they're asking. So, and I felt like that was a decision for the board to make. It's not going to make any difference. We're not going to get that money either way. But it does make our books look a little bit better so that we don't have that amount of old debt sitting there.
I have a question.
Okay.
On self-pay, People have no insurance, no Medicare, no Medicaid.
No, nothing. Nothing.
Okay. Yes, ma'am.
And we have a very high volume of those individuals who utilize our service.
Underage that they don't qualify for Medicare or under.
Part of it is they fall in that gap that they're not, 63 or 65. And then due to the Georgia not doing the Medicaid expansion, you actually have a lot of younger people that would qualify for that Medicaid expansion had it been done. We have one that we go pick up all the time, this type 1 diabetic, and he got dropped. So we finally got him back on so that now we can get some reimbursement for when we transport him. But there's a lot that fall in that gap. They just don't qualify for Medicare because they're not age, and then they don't qualify for Medicaid in the state of Georgia because they don't meet whatever requirements the state decides they want to give.
On the insurance exchange, whatever it is, doesn't that turn free at some income thing?
At some income level, it does,
These people have income.
but they don't have. It's one of those things too, where you've got to take the time and the effort to apply. You've got to take the time and the effort to seek that out, and they just don't do that.
That would be a good resource for somebody to walk these individuals through that.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Sure, they would qualify for that.
Yeah. I think it's Agar, I believe, is one of the insurance agents or one of the insurance companies that provide for low income, but usually even there, it's still like a $25 a month cost. And some of these individuals just either decide not to pay that or don't to. So. And just because you have insurance doesn't mean your ambulance gets paid.
Right, but
Yeah.
give a better.
It does give us a better, yeah. We're also, we have a contract basically with the prison. You have to sign a contract with them. We get what you would get if they were Medicaid and Medicaid pay. They have had some issues getting money paid, so we have a little bit of debt for them, but that will eventually, I believe, be paid. So,
How much total are you asking to be written off?
just the self-pay is $2,114,410.63.
And that doesn't include the state obligations for the
No.
prisoners.
Now, if you look at all of it,
But
And
that's
they-
all you're asking to be written off.
no, well, they're asking for anything that's over 7 years. So as the money, as time progresses, and we hit that 7-year mark, that 7-year mark, that 7-year mark, that debt then just
But the
gets written
state
off.
doesn't owe you 7 years back.
No.
They're like maybe a year behind.
Yeah, they're a year behind. So right now, this current month, they owe us $29,332. They have $9,184 that is at the 31 to 60 day mark, and then at the 61 to 90 day mark is $8,599. So, and we are assuming we're getting that money. WellCare was bumped out of the prison, and they got another company in. So this is money that WellCare owes us, and they're just been a little slow getting that due to some computer issues. They're saying they're having.
So you're asking them to make a motion if they're ready to write off what you're asking.
Right off the 7-year-old and beyond debt.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we write it off. Nothing to do with it, so.
I said.
Any motion in second, do we have any discussion? Any other discussion?
Only discussion I'd have is I don't guess there's any grant funding where this number would help us in the future. We don't know,
Now,
but we could always have it available.
yeah, you can always have it available. Just because we're writing it off,
Yeah.
it's just not going to be on the book. Doesn't mean
Right.
that it doesn't exist. And in the same token, if for some reason or whatever someone decides to pay on that, you know, let's just say someone's loved one passed away and they were trying to resolve
Right.
their estate. That money's still going to go on that debt. It's not like it just disappears. It's just not on the books. So it looks like we have such a vast amount of non-payment is what it looks like.
The only thing is, you know, they don't see our everyday world.
They don't.
With the decisions they make, and this is taken away from this motion a little bit, but I did read where, you know, the 10-mile rule, it affects us so much, is back on the table this time. So
Yes.
hopefully with ACCG and GMA, if they'll really get behind this, and they claim they are, get us some help in that manner. I mean, everything's a help.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, Medicare pays $13.24 per mile over the 10-mile mark. So if you back that up, all of these trips that we go from here to Vienna that we get no mileage for, those 9 miles or so, the Cordell, then we'll start getting paid at $13.24. You know, now again, Humana doesn't pay us that. Humana pays us $9.50. Blue Cross and Blue Shield pays us $10.25 of mileage. But if Medicare starts paying for that miles, then every insurance will start paying for those miles. So, because everything is based on Medicare payment. Whatever Medicare pays for, insurance pays. Otherwise, you don't get it.
Steve, do we have an active AR report on this?
We can get one.
Yes. This is what it is right here. I can send, I don't know why that attachment didn't send to you, but I'll, that's the one she just printed out. I will, and it's on the back too. I will, send that attachment to you and then y'all can send it. So.
We needed that. That's why we had a discussion part of it. Yeah, so we can gather other information. Okay, we still haven't voted yet. All in favor by the sure. Okay, that motion carried.
All right, thank you.
No.
Once a person turn like 65, you can't go to shit in checks and nothing like that, can you?
You can't garnish, can't garnish Social Security.
Yeah, Social Security or any other benefit. I heard yesterday when I was in court.
Really?
Like they get like they don't even supposed to garnish your retirement. Like you get a retirement check. They can't garnish it.
So
Some law.
I didn't know that. I can
I
start messing up now.
Government
You know I did that.
Yeah, government, and I think any other retirement. What I heard yesterday, it might not be accurate.
Keep them out your property then.
Yeah, that's when they want old people money unless you get a cosign.
Right.
But they know they can't get you.
Okay, item number 2, the financial report. We'll have hopefully have the financial report for August at the next meeting. But I am glad to report we did get through August without hitting our reserve. So I don't know that we're going to be able to do that in September, but we did do that in August. So I'm glad of that. Item number 3, there's a vacancy on the DFAX board. Is there any nominations? Hearing none. Item number 4, there's a vacancy on the Board of Elections and Registration. Is there a nomination? Hearing none. Number 5, let's skip over number 5. Let's come back to it at the end of the meeting. And just a reminder, we're going to have to get out of here early because we got an EDC meeting out at the EDC building at 11 o'clock. But don't need to forget that. Item number 6, just a reminder, DOT is accepting applications for the FY 2025 LMIG program. Applications must be submitted by February the 1st of next year, and we're eligible for $733,811. 10% match is required. So once we get this budget and millage rate set, that's our next big project. We get to get on that and see what kind of projects we want to submit for that. So I'm going to leave that on the agenda. Application for utility facility encroachment. That's where they're trying to get, there's a cell phone tower down in the southeast corner of the county, and I'm working on getting an application form for them. I've got a sample from Chris County and Houston County, and I'm trying to get the best parts of both of them for us to have an application. So I'll hopefully have something to show y'all in the next meeting on that. Number 8, EDC meeting at 11 o'clock today. And then at 2 o'clock this afternoon in here, we're having a bid opening for the storm drain repairs on West Road and River Road. Y'all not required to be here. Y'all are welcome to be here if you want to, but I'll be here and the engineers will be here and we'll see what the bids come in at.
Multiple bids. Who gets them? You don't know?
Well, they'll either get sent here, but most likely the contractors will hand deliver them and they'll be here at the bid opening to hear what their competitors bid. It's the way that normally works for large projects like this. Item number 10, the city of Pinehurst intends to annex 1.26 acres, and I believe their legal counsel may be sitting next to me. But let me briefly show you. Oh crap, I messed it up. Where that is. Let's get back into Pinehurst. Wait a minute, no. Pinehurst is this way, right?
Did you lose the city?
I know, all right, this is Pinehurst. This is the high school, I mean the middle school. If you go up 41, coming into Pinehurst, Fullington's right here. If you take the left on that first page on the Pinehurst Byronville Highway, coming out, the city limits end right here. And the people that basically, they're wanting to annex a little. I had this showing up earlier. Let me see if I can make this happen again. They're wanting to annex something like that right there. Because the people that own this, they have actually purchased something like this out of this parcel. So this is a parcel here that's inside the city. And they've also purchased this right here that's outside the city. And they're wanting to combine that in one parcel and build them a house. So the city's wanting to just annex that one little piece.
Right. So they don't want the whole thing, they just want that piece so they can have a homestead and they can have water and sewer extended to it.
That's their only annexation project.
Mm-hmm.
So how does it, I mean, the county don't have to.
Yes, they're required to let the county know that they're doing that. Theoretically, the county could interpose some sort of an objection to it, but those typically previously the law was that you could not object, and then there was a change because of all the big cities being formed up in Atlanta in that area where they said the counties can object. But previously it was just you didn't care. Okay. It's not the only thing that it would theoretically affect on the county side of this equation would be if you were going to take in, if you're going to take in a huge subdivision or something like that, and you're going to get more citizens in there, and then it would affect the distribution on sales tax at a later date. That's where it would affect things. Otherwise, the county's going to get the same amount of taxes it would get otherwise, and it's just and they don't provide police protection, so you're not adding any or taking away from any burden. The only reason they're doing that is so that they can qualify to continue to provide, for GFA loans and so forth. They do have one or two customers, like I think the school is outside the city limits, or the pilot. One of the two of those, it's one of their large customers, is outside the city limits, and there's only so many of those that you can have outside of your service when you go to provide a GFA loan. Otherwise, and that kind of skews the amount of usage and all that. So they're keeping that. They've been talking with Georgia Rural Water, a guy named Bill Powell, about all this too. And basically, they need to annex that one small parcel.
So that's really just a matter of information for y'all. I mean, nothing.
And I think there's a speed bump on the way to it.
Those aren't speed bumps.
You just had to put that in.
I don't know where
Okay,
that one. It's on the back street. You can't get up to 10 miles an hour back there, you will launch.
number 11, we have tentatively adopted the 2024 property tax millage rate, which will be the same millage rate as last year. However, the way the state makes us calculate that the state considers that a tax increase because we will be receiving more tax dollars than last year, even though we're not raising the millage rate. So we have to hold 3 public hearings, and we've got the public hearing scheduled for next. Public hearing number 1 next Thursday at 11 a.m. Public hearing number 2 next Thursday at 6 p.m. And then public hearing number 3 Friday, September the 20th at 10 a.m. The school board is going through the same process. Their public hearings are scheduled with different dates, but their third and final public hearing is scheduled for Thursday, September the 19th, that evening. That's when they will adopt the millage rate they're going to request that the county commissioners levy for them. So that's why we bumped our third public hearing back to after their meeting on the 19th, so we can officially actually adopt the tax levy at that time as well. Just, as I understand it, the school board also intends to adopt the same millage rate as they did last year. So, and I think the way the state makes us calculate it, they're making us calculate a tax increase of 0.56%. So just a little over 0.5% increase in taxes. So, item number 3, Georgia Department of Transportation has approved, has approved the $165,600 to Dooley County for our FY 2024 LMIG Safety Action Plan. This is the one where the state gave us a list of roads and said you can spend this money for safety improvements on these roads. And one of the safety improvements they allow is center line or striping. So we're able to stripe of that list. I think the money went far enough to get all, but I think we left off 2 roads off that big long list. So, and the engineer has got a contract here with Peak Pavement Marking, and just need like to request a motion to authorize the chairman to execute this contract with Peak PEEK Pavement Marking for this project.
It's already been done.
No, it hadn't been done.
It hadn't been done yet.
They're waiting on the contract to be signed, and then the contract says should complete it within 90 days. Once
And which road is this?
this is a whole slew of roads.
Oh, okay.
So all of them except 2 that we put
I
on.
think
the
all
bid.
of them are 2. We initially thought we were only going to get half of them, but the bids came in so low, we were able to get all but 2 of the roads.
One question on this, was any engineering have to be done on this?
There's a very little, not engineering, but going through the RFP process. There would be some,
It's not included in that number.
it's not included in this number, but it should be enough to cover that and the payment. The contract because we got if we're getting 165,000 from the state, we gotta match that with 16,000, so what's that, $182,000? The contract to the contractor is for 171,000, so that leaves $11,000 to take care of the engineer's part of it.
So that project cost 11,000 something for the engineer's part.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we approve that, safety plan.
Second the motion.
Has been second, has the motion and second, do we have any discussion? Steve, let me ask, I know we finna vote on the striping part, but now, could that money be applied to widening some of the roads out too?
It could, but $165,000 ain't going very far for widening.
I'm talking like we did out there on that road there, just, I don't know how wide we made that road out there by the airstrip. Some of these roads sort of narrow. And I was just, to do both sides.
Like I said,
I know it, right.
it would not go far at all.
Mhm. So that's something we have to do differently if we want to widen the road out.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All in favor by the show of hands? That motion carries.
How did we come out with that, people that owe us that money? They didn't complete the job.
Oh,
You still
yeah,
want that?
we hadn't talked about it in a while. Yeah. Okay, right there.
Right.
Uh-huh.
We told them we weren't gonna accept, we wanted our money then.
Pending.
Okay.
We need to talk about that in executive session with the attorney.
Oh, okay.
Mhm.
Got the screw.
Item number 13, well, this past Monday was county holiday, Labor Day. We received a request from the Chris Dooley Accountability Court. Hold on a second. All right, let me see what I got for that. 14. Well, it's referred to as the drug court, but the official name of it is Chris Dooley Accountability Court. And they're required to use matching county funds to help pay their expenses for the court. And the court, about every other year, requests money from Dooley County to help fund the court. And we've always, well,
They request from Dooley and Chris.
yeah, they alternate, I think, from Chris and Dooley. And this year they're requesting from Dooley $20,000, and we can use, this is eligible to be paid out of our drug abuse treatment and education fund that currently has a balance of $80,000 in it. They're requesting 20 to help assist the Chris Dooley Accountability Court, and Sheriff Peavy has signed off on it, and probate judge Rennie Bowen has signed off on it. So I'm presenting y'all for y'all's consideration. We have the money.
Your motion.
I'll offer the motion to make the payment as requested.
That's it.
Yeah, the motion and second. And that money that we sort of used to issue out in different. Okay. All right.
But he got questioned whether, yeah, we got our hands on we got our hands slapped by some of that, so we gotta be real particular. But this definitely qualifies for,
It's a treatment and education program.
Yeah.
What we kept getting was education programs.
questionable on that, but anyway.
And you kept bringing up there had to be some treatment in there. I
The
remember
word- the
you
word
saying all
The word
that.
was and.
Not R.
Mhm.
Okay.
All in favor by the show of hands.
Okay. All right.
I went to the man over, Mr. Skipper, who drafted the legislation over in Americus, and he said, no, it's gotta be and. Okay.
All right. The ACCG and GMA are hosting joint training sessions. The nearest one to us is October 1 in Tifton for counties and cities on House Bill 581. This is the legislation that passed the 2024 Georgia General Assembly and will result in significant changes to property and local sales tax systems if approved by the voters in the November election.
Well, I went to a session on that in Lee County. And that's something we probably need to get with our tax assessor and have with all the cities so they can understand what the implications are. It's a several part process. The first is if it gets approved on the ballot, it would really benefit the larger communities more so than the smaller communities, because it gets into the sales tax. It gets into some issues with sales tax, and it gets into freezing valuations if we then have a vote later to do it or opt in or opt out. And right now the question is, are we for the amendment, for it or against it? And as a political body, we can't, just like sales tax, we can't really be for or against. But I think that we need all the information on this as possible, because what comes as a tax relief from the state is actually going to be a shifting of things with sales tax revenues that could really affect our bottom line in a negative way. And I can't explain it. I don't understand it on that level, but I think our tax people could probably speak to the nuances of it a little bit better. But there's a lot of things on the if level here. First is, does it pass? And your guess is as good as mine. And if it does pass, then we have to make a decision, and we have to be in unison pretty much with the other cities to do so, as to how that sales tax issue plays out, is the way I'm understanding it. Am I?
Well, yeah, there's a lot of moving parts to this, and our tax assessor, he's already been to a session on this. Our tax commissioner has been to a session on this. I would encourage as many commissioners. I plan to go October 1 to this, and I would encourage any commissioners that can to go to this. Because yes, if this is passed by the voters, then yes, it's going to have some impact on us. Right off the bat, the floating, it's going to be called a floating homestead exemption, but basically that would, in real simple terms, as I understand it, like I have the homestead exemption for my house. That's my primary. I own it. That's my primary residence, so I get the homestead exemption. But currently, that ain't much of a tax break. If this gets passed, then my assessed value will be frozen at whatever my assessed value is for the tax year 2024. If the housing market goes sky high, my assessed value can only be increased very nominally. It's going to be based on whatever it's assessed at today. That's going to be good for me. For the county, that's going to be losing potential revenue.
That's right.
We sit there complaining at this time of year, every year, we need revenue, So that's going, it's a double-edged sword.
They're going to allow you to pass a sales tax in increments of 0.5 cent up to 1 cent.
No, actually, in increments of 0.05 of nickels.
Sorry.
But so as I understand, if this is going to be a constitutional amendment on the ballot in November.
Correct.
If it gets approved by the voters, then this goes into effect January 1. Unless the governing authority votes to opt out of it. And the issue I see there, it appears each individual governing authority can opt out. So you could have some could opt out and some could not opt out.
I think it's got to be countywide.
Okay, well,
It's not clear on that.
It's not clear.
Where I went was presenting, they had, and it's only Smithville and Leesburg, and the taxing authorities is questionable because it's not the school board. They don't. It doesn't matter what. That's what you're thinking. So the school board is not included in this. It's just the cities and the county like for Lost and Splost and all those other things, we've got to all be in unison. Either we've got to be in or out on it. So if, say, Dooling didn't want to be in it, I think that affects the rest of the county. Not sure on that, but I think that's the way it was being presented to me. And so we all have to be together on whatever we want to do. Now, and this is to pay another penny sales tax.
Now, we ain't got to the sales tax yet.
Okay.
This is all,
Not in or
this
not.
is just property tax. This is just changes to the
All right,
property tax.
So if it comes in and you're stuck with it because you don't opt out, then everyone starts getting it. And then the only mechanism to make up the difference is the sales tax, which is a separate vote.
Yeah. If the amendment gets approved by the voters, then that gives the county the option of asking the voters later to approve another 1 cent sales tax that would be strictly designated for property tax relief.
We ran through the scenarios. I was kind of having an open conversation with the assessor in Lee County. And we played with a $100,000 house, which is a low value house for Lee County, about $125,000, $150,000 house. And we did the scenario and we did it against the tax digest. And if we put in the max on penny, they still were going to have a huge shortfall if all went like the state froze it and then they voted to put in a penny sales tax in order to make up the difference, there was going to be a shortfall down the road. So it was going to be, because you're saying the ad valorem tax is going to be frozen and can't be brought up every year for a period of how long? Until you sell the house?
I think so.
I think for some reason, I think it's a 5-year period,
Maybe.
but it's still, or it may be long, it may be.
Wasn't this where it just couldn't do this is like Cuba. It couldn't make the jumps we made in where mine goes up 30%, 40%, that even though they can hold my assessment 30% higher, it might take me 10 years to crank up to, so I'll get 3% every year versus
Our increase will be determined by an inflationary rate to be determined by the state revenue commissioner every year. So, yeah, it's going to be a very nominal.
it would protect the homeowners that got hit with the 40% increase in the tax bill that are on fixed income.
Yeah.
Inching it up would help them with maybe the Social Security will inch up, or maybe something else will
Well,
inch up. where it's not
it's
just
sold
huge.
as taxpayer relief, but what it's going to do is if you give taxpayer relief, that means that there's going to be less taxes over time in the way that this is structured. And and that's okay, but you're going to have to find another source to do it, or you got to cut a budget. That's the bottom line.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
It's a great thing if you're in one of the metro counties where all your houses, they're building houses left and right, and the values are going up and all that, and you still, whatever. And you've got the infrastructure of services already in place. It's not so great.
This is Noel Williams' bill, in Lee County.
Well, the sales tax part of it is, or, yeah. Anyway, that's thing on that. I plan to go to the October 1st meeting, and I'll keep it on the agenda. And
Can we get that summary of whatever you got there?
yeah, that should have been sent out in the agenda package, but I'll send it out again.
Okay, it's not, I got you.
If somebody can explain it to me better than what the folks in Lee County were, and they've been to several seminars on it, all including the county administrator and all that. They were up on it, and it was. I just got introduced to this last week and started looking into it, and it's kind of like it hadn't happened yet. It's likely to happen, and everyone kind of feels that it's going to get passed.
Yeah.
And it's at the ballot, and then we're going to be, so we're not quite there, but we might as well start thinking in that direction as to what the next move is for this body.
In the spring, there was something written that was comparing this to, not the sales tax, but it was comparing this to the conservation side of
Cuba.
their land assessments are high. Their land assessments are at $5,000-6,000, the way it should be. But Cuba only allows you to collect tax on 3% raise every year until you get to the assessed
Well, somebody ought to be able to, somebody that's done this from the study part of the legislature, and maybe Mr. Williams and some of his staff, or he can direct us. We ought to be able to plug in the values of Dooley County as they exist now and presume and assume that there's a freeze. And if we put in a sales tax, somebody ought to make that calculation, and we should be able to see what that means without just being the sky's falling. You
This
follow?
is only on people enrolled in homestead.
Right.
This
But-
isn't-
but-
This isn't all property.
It's just
This
homestead.
is homestead.
Right, and there's some sort of a wild card exemption for personal property like boats and stuff like that. If it's less than $20,000, it doesn't get taxed under this. Because we did away with ad valorem tax on cars, I guess we did with the sales tax a while back, and sort of moving that direction on those luxury items, so to speak. And there's another piece of it. Trying to think what the other piece was, but it went along with those. Oh, I know what it was. On the homestead exemptions, for instance, David, if you and your wife have two homes in Georgia, I think you're prevented right now. If they're both named in your name, the way they were saying, I don't think she could get a homestead on one, you could homestead on one. But under this, if just your name's on the property in Dooley County and her name's on the property at St. Simon's, not that you have a St. Simon's home that you've not invited us to, but if her name's on the St. Simon's, y'all would be able to homestead in both places.
That would be a huge hit to,
I mean, there's a lot more in this that are little nuances that some people it doesn't affect.
All right, number 16, and the ACCG has scheduled their 2024 fall district meetings. Dooley County is in District 8. The District 8 fall meeting is scheduled for Wednesday, October the 30th in Stewart County at Omaha Brewing Company.
Let's go.
Oh, that's gonna be a long
Let's
meeting.
go.
Where the hell is Omaha, Georgia?
In Stewart County.
No, Doug. Where's
We'll
Omaha?
need a DD.
Have you ever heard of Omaha, Georgia? I've heard of Omega,
Where's that? Where's Stewart?
Lumpkin,
Look,
Richland.
And look around, yeah.
That can't be right.
I only ain't got my 3 houses down there.
So they got Richland. Remember they got Richland rum over there, the distillery. They also
Yeah.
make vodka, I'm told, but I don't know about that.
Richmond
Well,
Road.
They make vodka now?
Mhm.
Out of sugar cane?
Whatever they make it out of.
The rum's okay, but
I guess when you get drunk, they fall over and look around candy. Yeah, we went down there, and that's all I saw.
Well, it'll be Providence.
There's Omaha. There's the Georgia-Alabama line.
I know it's right over there by.
Where to go to? Go
There's Mount Moriah Church.
on the trial.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
don't think it's our Mount Moriah
Right now,
Church.
yeah. It's nothing, I mean, I never seen some big warehouses, gin houses.
Well, so it's right on the other side of Louisville.
There's Lumpkin there.
Oh, it's northwest
And
of
that's
Lumpkin.
Richland, Lumpkin, and we up here somewhere.
And there's a little Grand Canyon. It's north of Little Grand Canyon.
Mm-hmm. I've been there a lot of times. We used
Well,
to be in
You
the
gotta
region.
go somewhere else to get there, don't
You've
you?
been
what
to
time are we leaving?
I reckon I'll be the designated driver.
Maybe up at bar of the school system.
No, hush, hush, hush,
A
hush, hush.
mobile classroom.
Hush, hush,
Bar
hush.
of that.
Okay, number 17, moving right along. Number 17, just a reminder, ordinarily our second meeting in September would be Thursday, September 19th, but we're gonna move it to that next day, Friday, September the 20th. And then the item I asked to be added to the agenda, Sheriff Peavy brought me by a proposal from Motorola Solutions for upgrades to the Sheriff Department communications equipment. And that was additional handout I had with your agenda. You know,
The same thing you just gave us.
It was sitting behind, it should have been on the stack. It's got pricing summary like that.
Is it under your book?
Oh, my.
Well, then, here you go. I don't want you to feel left out.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Okay. Now, the sheriff's been telling us he was wanting to upgrade their radio communication system. He's obtained tower space on a cell tower. If I'm not mistaken, it's the one, if you're going up 41 and you get to where the road forks, Old National Forks, to go to the Public Works Department, there's one right there. I think that's the tower he's obtained space on. So this would be purchasing the equipment from Motorola necessary. This would be the equipment needed to be put on the tower. And it's $300,000 is the price tag of it. And he's proposing to finance it through Motorola for 5 years at that rate there. And he's saying this would not cost the county anything. He would use his drug funds to pay this. This is just the equipment to put it on the top. This is for them and I don't know what it means, but they're currently using a VHF radio system. This will be upgrading it to an 800 megahertz radio system. He's saying right now they don't have the ability to communicate in a lot large areas of the county. They don't have radio communications. So supposedly this would enable them to be able to communicate in all the areas of the county. This is just to get the equipment on the tower necessary. He's already purchased the radios that would need to go into the vehicles. He's already purchased that with his drug fund. So he asked me to present this to y'all. He said if y'all wanted to prove it today, that'd be fine. Or if y'all had questions, he couldn't make it to today's meeting. But
What is it? I see insurance, and I'm thinking that too. When you put something on somebody else's tower, how do you?
Like a lease.
We would insure our equipment.
Right.
yes,
This
would be added to our insurance.
And trust me, tower insurance is not cheap.
Lightning.
No, we're not insuring the tower. We're insuring the
No.
top.
You heard the insurance man, lightning. Also, you have what happened to WALB when I represented them is they had a military flyover that hit their tower and knocked them out of commission. And they couldn't touch it until the military allowed them to. And that was a fun experience because they were off the air.
What about 911? I said, oh, he putting stuff on top. I was just sitting there thinking about us and the ambulance service. Having to run through all over to wherever it is and getting the call back over here. That just was the thought I had instead of going to Ellerville. Isn't that 911 center over there?
We are in a 911 intergovernmental agreement with the exception of the sheriff because the sheriff has opted out because he's a constitutional officer. So I think it's a discussion, but I think there's separate discussions. And I think that this would certainly be if down the road there were a discussion to bring it back to Dooley County, which has currently been advised against by our EMA director because he says it's too expensive. But if that discussion came on the table, then that would be something to bring up at that time, I think. But I don't think the two are distinct. Okay? Because the sheriff, we can't compel him to dispatch through them. We haven't been doing that. And he's saying that as a constitutional officer, he needs this in order to do his job. So we don't really have a lot of choice in telling him how he's going to dispatch.
You're saying this, you're talking about this, we have to have this?
He's saying he needs that to upgrade his dispatch ability. Isn't that what he's saying? You're saying the other is not working in parts of the county, is that what I hear?
But then, just to be clear, this would be the lease purchase agreement with Monroe would be in the county's name. But the sheriff's saying he will pay the loan payment, the lease payments out of his drug money.
Well, I think it's great that we got a plan with funding, you know. So many times we have a plan and then we have to go try to figure where the funding is gonna come from. And, sounds like that's already been figured out for us. And
That ain't no more than some of the other projects we do. I mean, if he paying for everything, I don't see
yeah,
no
I mean,
issue.
all in favor. Let's move on.
Yeah. We need to vote on it, or?
It's up to y'all.
That sounded like a motion from Mr. Casey.
I'll offer the motion.
I second.
Second.
Okay, have the motion and second. Do we have any other discussion on it? If not, all in favor by the show of hands. That motion carries.
All right, and then I believe, Mr. Chairman, you wanted to add something about the Flint Humane Society?
yeah. Well, I got a call about the dog pound out there, and wanted me to go out there. So I honored the person's wishes, and I actually went out there, and they got a lot of questions, and questions that I can't answer. I don't know how much we take to do with all that, but and the big thing came up that we give them what, $2,000 a month, 24 a year. So they wanted us to be aware of what's going on, and I did. I went out there with Miss Fox or whatever her name is, folks, and folks, Laura
Folks.
Yeah, Laura. And we walked around. I truly, it was good exercise, but I walking from the fence up there all the way up to the pound, but I really couldn't see a lot. I mean, it might be a little adjustment might need to be done with that, but I mean that's just a little trivia stuff, But again, I guess curiosity, and I don't know what other kind of motive might be involved, but I'm just speaking from my point of view. But I didn't. She wanted me to address the issue with the board and bring it to them, and I told them I'm just only one out of the 5, so it needed to be brought to the table, and we all take a look at. Steve got the information that she brought to me, and I said we'll just table it to the next meeting and give everybody the opportunity.
I'll make copies and send all y'all a copy of this.
Need sort of like, yeah.
Let me ask you
Is
this.
she involved with it?
She's not,
Is she involved in the Humane Society?
it's not my understanding.
Uh,
What I would suggest is if the body does fund them, and do they provide any type of an annual report or anything like that? If they could just send us an annual report and we could provide that, that would be their response, because it's not a formal complaint.
that's what she got in there.
Okay, but does the Humane Society do some sort of report? Because I'm assuming they get funding from someone other than us.
Yeah.
So they-
Initially, they provided us like quarterly reports, but we haven't received any reports in quite a while.
Well, I think the thing to do would be just ask them for their last annual report. And they can give us that within 30 days. They should be able to provide it within 30 days.
And that's part of the complaint. I mean, like I said, I wouldn't, on stuff that I don't know about, I'm not finna give no answer, because I'm not finna get backed up in no corner.
Well, very likely, in all fairness, they probably do have a report because they're getting funding from other sources. If they do have a report, or if they don't, they can certainly get it to us within 30 days. And then that'll answer whatever these questions are about adoptions and all that, because I thumbed through this, and there's an allegation in here that there's a dog for adoption, and there's also things saying there's no dogs for adoption. So I don't know if that's true or not true. Depends on the timing. I didn't look at all that.
Yeah.
But I think we just need to, it's fair to ask if y'all want to.
Would y'all want me, in addition to forwarding y'all a copy of this, forward a copy of this to Flint Humane Society and just ask them to come to our next meeting Let's get their side of it
I'd rather see that.
first.
I'd like to see that first.
Okay.
I wanna know what the,
Yeah, and
is that the state reports? Are there state reports?
no, that's
This is stuff off the internet, pictures of dogs in cages, some letters, and some handwritten notes from Nancy Daniels.
I've been given state reports before because that weren't positive. But I was saying if there's state reports in there, I want the person from the state that wrote the reports to.
I will get a copy of this to y'all.
And I think what you said was, I think that was good. I mean, because see, we really need to hear. They need to be able to defend themselves, against what's being said.
Well, there is also, in all fairness, there's a state agency, the Department of through the Department of Agriculture, I think, that governs this and can accept complaints and investigate complaints, and they are much in a better position to do it than this body is.
They make inspections.
Right.
Yeah, I'm not.
They were gonna shut that pound down sometime back, several years ago. Steve
Mhm.
remembers that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think you've got a complaint. It's on the agenda. And you said you're gonna table it and one.
Yeah, they said that, like they
and
said,
one-
everybody, like I told Steve this morning, we all need to see what's going on. So if anybody got any, complaints about it or information that they want to know about it, I mean, they had an opportunity to do it before we really discuss it.
All right, do
Yeah,
you
and
want
take
it to come back up at a future meeting, or do you want to let the members decide after they've reviewed the information if they wish to put it on the agenda for a future meeting?
Us.
Mhm.
I'm fine to bring them in. I just would like to see it before they're here.
Mhm.
Do you want them here
Yeah.
soon, or do you want next meeting?
It's up to everybody else. I want to be able to see
Right.
that before they're.
So we ain't in no big hurry. I mean,
No. Let's give us time with that right there.
Yeah, we ain't in no.
We ain't got to be on.
Because every time I go out, everything's good.
I mean, when I walk, I
donate
I just couldn't see.
Is the facility ever finished?
No. See, that's part of
the
the
fans, and they got the biggest problem. They got birds come up under there.
Yeah.
That's the biggest
So,
problem.
and then some
But
kind of
they can't stop there.
no, because it's open, and some kind of run, whatever. I don't know anything about no dog pound, but some kind of run junk outside the gate out there, that like the net or something tore up on it, and where the blocks, somebody had started laying some blocks out there for another kennel there, and there's several of them, and they hadn't completed that, and that to me wouldn't take no more than a day, to do it. So I really couldn't see.
Are they doing the work themselves, or they hire a contractor?
Man, I don't. That's my first time out there since they closed down the landfill.
Do they on payroll?
Who did?
The people that work out there.
Oh, they're not on the county payroll at all.
No, only thing we contribute
It's the Twin River Humane Society
$24,000 a year.
Incorporated, I believe, and it's a nonprofit, as I understand it.
Mhm.
I've not looked at the documents to say that, but that's what I think it is, and we contribute to them to provide an animal control provision,
Mhm.
and it's a no-kill shelter, and so that hence Humane Society, so it's not really a dog impoundment, because they are to place the dogs that they get. And in the past, I understood from Nancy 10 years ago that she was taking dogs, and apparently dogs up north don't make it through the winter.
Yeah.
And so they don't have the problems that we have here. And so they would be shipping them there, because she came and was trying to raise money to ship a dog somewhere.
And they had a name. They were duly ditched dogs.
You're gonna get this covered.
And they would put them they would ferry them over in East Georgia as they come out of Florida with the same caravan.
Mhm.
They would take so many dogs from this facility and meet over there.
Yeah.
And they go to the north with them, and people would adopt these
Oh,
dogs.
they did.
The biggest problem we got is out there, I think, is a lot of people don't want to adopt a dog that's got pit in them, and everything out there nearby's got pit.
Right. And on
That's where we
occasion,
are with.
they have them break out of the facility and they show up at my door.
Really? Well, all you need to do is do the paperwork.
There you go.
That's
Yeah,
it.
that's
Yeah, yeah,
fine.
yeah.
I just drop them off right down the road.
Oh, you just drop them off?
What do you think,
And I leave
Darryl?
a little bag of food there for us to know to stay there.
You know, and I'll just leave you on this note on that. We had a children's camp out there, and apparently some people knew, and they brought a load of kittens and dumped them off during children's camp. And so I
That's
had,
what they were doing.
yeah, so I went to go get the kitties up, and apparently they were feral cats, but the children had tamed a few of them, and I said, well, help me get the kitties up, and they said, you're the man who's gonna kill the cats. I said, I'm not gonna kill the cats, but I did take the cats off.
On the record, I don't know what that says, but we've never discussed that really in here. Other than a responsibility to taxpayer funds, we're not liable for anything
Yeah.
that they do.
No, we are not managing their operation. You can choose to fund it or not fund it. And that's the extent of your obligation.
Because over the years, we have gotten bills from veterinary clinics that claim Humane Society has taken an animal there for treatment, and they weren't paid, and they sent the bill to us asking us to pay it, and I said, we're not responsible for their bill, and forward them to the
I mean, you can
Humane Society.
contract with a shelter somewhere else if you wished. It's not uncommon. I mean, for the longest time before Lee County had one, we contracted with the Albany Humane Society to do it for the city of Leesburg and also Lee County. So you can go across county lines if you decide there's a service that meets your requirements
Didn't we
better.
just take the court deal to the
Yeah,
shelter
but they got put down there.
after 10 days?
All right, that's all the items on the agenda other than the budget work session. So
We're going into executive session.
do you want to update us on, do I think we need an executive session to update on the pending litigation? A brief executive session and then a budget work session. You're welcome to stay, Tim. I'll let you know if any action's taken.
Thank you.
I do not expect any action to be taken. Thank you, Darryl. Thank you, Tim. So, all right, we need a motion to go into executive session for pending litigation.
Make a motion to go into executive session, pending litigation.
That's it.
There's been motion and second. All in favor by the show of hands. That motion carries.
This conference will now be recorded.
Thank you, Bert.
All right, Mr. Mixon, on you, man.
Make a motion to we approve the minutes of executive session as read in executive session.
There's been motion and second. All in favor by the show of hands. And that motion carries.
Yes, okay. All right, so we got an EDC meeting at 11. We need to have a brief budget work session right quick. So